I am tuning in to folks from Oakland, California, where I was born and raised, and I'm so thankful to be a part of this beautiful project, bringing poets of color together for a beautiful cause in solidarity with the folks in Ferguson. So everyone, please, please, please make sure to check out the Tumblr, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com, and also please make sure to donate on their which GoFundMe campaign. So this first poem I want to do is for a cousin of mine who is actually serving a 23-year sentence right now in Coalinga prison in California. And my experience a lot with the prison system has been one of violence, racialized violence, and part of this speaking out about racism in our society is also about speaking against the prison industrial complex as well. So I'll read this poem to y'all. It's called Visitation. Visiting my cousin in prison often feels like walking in a funeral procession. Prohibited colors for visitors include white, gray, blue, orange, yellow, purple, green, red, brown. So as families of chained souls wrap our bodies in the black of eulogies like we are paying respect to the dead. The guard has no interest in the curled tongue of his name. I spit G30903 at the floor. Empty your pockets, bite the wire out of your bra if you want to see him today. While waiting in the visiting room, I goosebump at the swastika tattooed on the bald, pale head in front of me. Knives threatening to rip open your caramel arms at night. But your eyes wrinkle into sunshine as you bear hug the hope back into my freckles. Inmates and visitors may only embrace at beginning and end of each visit. We catch up over microwave pizzas and hot Cheeto picnics. Inmates may not touch the vending machines. You teach me dominoes over big head jokes. Give me trail maps to adventures I will carry out for the both of us. Cousin, last night I dreamed that these metal bars broke open because no person did over and flew back home to us. But you tell me these fences are electric borders, vultures that circle you even in your sleep, thirsty for the blood of palms tearing open. There is no such thing as escape here. These words crawl out of your body slow, reminding us if only you pleaded guilty, you'd be serving 3 years instead of 23. You'd be home by now. You braid your arms into me. Contact shall not exceed 5 seconds. You tell me I am not strong. We humans just learn to survive while living in shackles, but I can't admit to something I know I could never do. Visiting hours have ended. I hug you 3 times until the painful untangling of arms. You tell me it's time to go back into your cage now. I have never heard you call it that before, cousin. Never heard the defeat in your voice before, that I am tired of screaming innocent when all they see is monster. Visitors must exit immediately. My puppy face begs you to let me stay, like it has ever been your choice to watch me walk away as you were strip searched back into your cell. I stand in a line of black-cloaked tears and whisper a prayer into the 4-hour drive ahead of me. Do not break you. Let the cackle of your cuffed wrist scream resistance into frozen cement walls. There is no peace here, I know. But you remind them of the family they could not strip from you. The Adamu means the first man born from red clay. Remind them, our people do not shut up so easily. We do not sleep while souls are trapped in the shadows of locked cells. Do not forget the curl of your smile, cousin. Let it remind them that no guard, no system can strip you of your humanity. Let it remind you of freedom. Yes, yay. Self-love is important. I'm at home with my brother is in the other room, but he's resting because he's sick. So I really do appreciate this space. I appreciate Sasha and Tatiana and all the folks who reach out to me. Again, my name is Issa. I'm from Oakland, and for anyone just tuning in, I would really, really, really appreciate if y'all go to Poets for Ferguson.tumblr.com and show some love and support for this fundraiser. It's really important that us folks of color and poets of color unite, and as a community we gather for healing. This next poem I'm going to do is about the Philippines. My mom is in the Philippines, and actually she was there when the super typhoon Haiyan, or also known locally as Typhoon Yolanda, hit our hometown. And it was there was a lot of death in that area. And one of the biggest things for me, I've been doing relief work there since November, and I'm going back there in a week. It's just as communities of color, like here in the hood, where you need space to deal with the trauma of losing so many people that you've lost to violence. There's also that need for healing and spaces for recovery in these natural disaster-stricken areas. So I'm going to do a poem that I wrote about this. I apologized to my mother the first time I mistake the ocean for healing. I wonder if she can still see the bodies when she stares into sea. She teaches me there is no beauty in waters brown from the debris of fallen homes. This sea is the floating mass grave that haunts our town. Typhoon Yolanda was the strongest storm to ever make landfall in the world's history. 5 a.m. on November 8th, the super typhoon struck my family's home in Tanawan, Leyte. Mama tells nightmares of how ocean swallowed Tanawan whole. Foam water rammed into house, snapped off metal locks and flooded the doors open. Backflipping wooden shelves and cars in the street, a whirlpool of black mud and seawater. She says it's like the winds were searching for her. Whistling through rooms, Yolanda sirens ring in her ears. When I arrive in Tanawan 1 month after Yolanda, I do not recognize my mother's home. Uprooted trees splinter across the highway, steel trusses twist into infinity signs, roofs crumpled into bald paper. The basketball court where I spent each childhood morning is now an unmarked mass grave. 13 holes and over 400 bodies. I cry the first time I see my Tita Seti's home, the only house standing in a block of busted pipe and shattered concrete debris. I tell her, "You look good, auntie." Is only proof of the relief goods that never came, where once her nanay thighs and hips built to swing babies into lullaby naps lived. Now her bones purge out of her body, for the days pass without canned food relief, the dinner she went hungry so her 6 grandchildren could eat. She tells me how her family of 9 survived, how Dong Dong used the leg of the table to break open the roof, how they found God in a mango tree, whose branches sheltered them from the flying debris, how they waited hours trembling in the frozen seawater rising inside their own home. She points to a traffic circle. There are 200 bodies buried here. I crumple at the wooden crosses made of debris. Each makeshift tombstone scribbles the names of entire families. One holds the name of mom's classmate and the 17 grandchildren she watched the sea take from her before she let go of the rail and asked the typhoon to take her away with them. In Manila, a man asked me, how could people all the way in Manila understand what a storm surge is and still the folks in Leyte did not evacuate? I tell him how common typhoons have become in our town, how we have become accustomed to the floods, but nothing prepared us for the sea in our own homes. No one expected 3 storm surge waves taller than coconut trees, crushing into our town, drowning over 1,500 of our kababayan. If we knew what the storm surge meant, we would have left running. I want to tell him of my Tita Alice, my uncle and cousin Biwi, who drowned in their 1-story home just blocks away from my house, how the force of 350 km/h winds sealed their doors shut, trapped my family in the rising waters, how my cousin's body was found still trying to break the doors open, how my uncle was found crushed beneath the weight of a wooden cabinet, unable to reach for breath. My ate laughs tells me that when the people drowned, their limbs froze with their arms stretched toward the sky, like begging for breath, asking anyone to save them. Their bodies swollen and black as mud, skin blistered with salt water. The second day after the super typhoon, my ate Labs walked 14 hours back home to see if our mothers were still alive. As she climbed over mountains of cadavers cluttering the street like human debris, she tells me she daydreamed of how she would bury our family if she found the stench of corpses in our home. The typhoon did not end when the wind stopped rumbling. We are a town haunted by the spirits that never floated away, scared of the sea that surrounds us. How disrespectful it feels to call the ocean beautiful. Like I don't know how many of my family members drowned in these waves. When my little cousins still cry whenever the wind howls too loud. When my Kuya Juban still nightmares of the corpses he walked over while searching for milk for his baby son. But I have never learned how to heal without an ocean to hold. So before leaving Tanawan, I take my mother back to the sea. Her eyes are heavy with rising waters as she screams curses into the ocean's breath for all of the families the sea stole from us. Quietly, I offer my shell back to the sea. Send a silent prayer to my Lola with this offering. Ask my ancestors to help my mama forgive the sea. Because these flattened houses ain't the only homes needing rebuilding. Help my mama forgive the sea, so we can find healing in her waters again. Word. Thank you. Oh my God, there's so many messages here on this group chat I am not keeping up with. Jalal! Ah! Okay. I should be more professional. Thank you all so much. I think I have one poem left, although someone should tell me if I need to do more poems. But I really appreciate this space, and again, just so important that we're all coming together to share our stories and also to provide counter narratives to all of this bullshit that we've been hearing on the media, and also to show love for our fellow demonstrators in Ferguson who are needing financial support and also moral support and healing support from our communities and fundraising for their legal defense after being arrested during the protests in Ferguson. Let's show them love. Let's visit the poetsforferguson.tumblr.com website and let's do the GoFundMe. Let's give them some dollars. So I will do one more poem unless someone else tells me to do more. I won't do that poem. I'll do this poem. Bam. This poem is to the Cathedral of Christ the Light. It's a cathedral here in Oakland that many people would call beautiful. I do not. So it was built in the early 2000s when I was still in elementary school. But what a lot of folks don't know about this cathedral is that they actually closed 5 schools in Oakland in order to build this school, build this cathedral, which cost $200 million, and supposedly is really beautiful if y'all don't know the history behind how many students of color who were on scholarships at a lot of these Catholic schools in inner city neighborhoods got kicked out in order to build this ugly building. So this is me speaking to that cathedral. Okay. Cathedral of Christ the Light. My timid feet step weary into your unfamiliar arms. Your red oak tree doors and gray marble floor, steel-piped organs bursting into Douglas fir ribs, mahogany pews bend knees over your silk-padded kneelers. As the priest prays along pearl rosaries, arch your back across glass frames, painting sunlight of a Christ figure into shadow of this church cathedral. I never knew Oakland could dress up so beautiful. But you have never tasted crowbar bruises, felt the shattered lilies of broken glass. You have never heard the growling symphonies of empty stomachs or the cool breeze of spray graffiti against your chest. You were born in Oakland but know nothing of survival. When they built you, they sang, even poor people need beautiful places to worship. But I find no glory in gutted schools lying in the shadow of your $200 million church. You pass out communion of gourmet bread and 5-star wine to your fascinated congregation. Do they know you closed St. Martin's, West Oakland, just to bring this red liquor exotic to them? St. Martin de Porres, West Oakland. Paint peels from cracked walls in your crumbling classrooms. Pray for us. Cathedral. Do the yellow envelopes slipped into collection plates each Sunday help you sleep at night? Or do the vibrations of distant gunshots echo into your screaming organ, shaking your pews to the awakening of morning? Are you haunted by the 5 Oakland schools they closed to build you? St. Columba, North Oakland. White crosses decorate your front lawn for each homicide in Oakland this year. Pray for us. I am the community they closed to build you. Some of us Catholic school kids are built off scholarship and single mother sweats. I never thought my education was worth your tuition. When the white priest at my school refused to bless me, told my classmates we were too colored to be Catholic to him, I knew I never belonged in any Catholic school uniform. Sacred Heart, 40th and MLK Street. Ghost of your schoolhouse peeks behind your solid stone church. Pray for us. I step into the winter of your church. There are no peace be with yous, just stern looks of security guards at your doors, whispering into earpieces. They order me to stop touching your silk-padded kneelers unless I'm gonna hurry up and pray already. Cathedral. You look over this city but have never seen its people. Your Egyptian gold marble shutters lock out our homeless cluttering your street. Ignore the way our bloodstains and Kool-Aid seep together into cracks of concrete. I am sorry that your skyscraper arms could never reach past the stench of this city, that our corner stores and 40s degrade your pale paintings and bronze statues. Your holy fountains of baptismal water and black granite altars are illusions amidst poverty. How does it feel to hate the city you were born into? You never thought Oakland is worth your glory, but how flawless can you be? When your glass frames only reflect the desolation around you, this struggle that surrounds you cannot be silenced by your beauty. We are still here. St. Martin's, St. Columba, Sacred Heart, St. Joseph's, St. Pascal's. You silenced 5 Oakland elementary schools, and now our pastel blood stains the glass windows in your mausoleum, reminding you we will not keep quiet anymore. Word. Self-love. Yay. So I'm going to assume that my set is over unless someone messages me now. But I just want to hella thank everyone for this space. Again, remind y'all hella no, but it's really important. Please go support the GoFundMe. Go to, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. Yeah, add me. My name is Isabella Borgeson. You can find me on Facebook. And I really appreciate this space and all the love to all of the poets of color touching the mic or touching the laptop microphone tonight. Peace, y'all.
I guess I'm up next. Is that what it is? All right. Well, my name is George Delgado. I'm in Webster, Massachusetts. Here with Poets for Ferguson. Obviously, this is a moral movement trying to bring some help down to Missouri to resolve the issues that we're facing already and hopefully get people motivated to, obviously remain active and involved in every part of the process if it means starting a movement in your local area as well, then I suggest you do so. I've been in Webster, Mass. It's not that big of a town. It's small. It's dark out here. The only way I can get Wi-Fi is outside in the cold. So sorry for that. And I've also been having some difficulties. So I'm reading this off of my phone, but I'm gonna. Sorry about that. Again, difficult. I never stop thinking, but it's rare the occasion I'm able to make it written. Moments made memories documented, thoughts worth never forgetting. Here I am, here I stand, a man who can reach out a firm hand and leave the pain on this page I write as I let the ink bleed as I bleed inside. Because with every breath also is a heartbeat, another step older on my feet, and scars that reveal just how hurt and just how deep I remain beneath. I have many regrets, and lo and behold, the true story will never be entirely but forever remain untold. That is why I refrain from making generalized statements. Why I fulfill my needs as opposed to seeking certain cravings. I do my same as. Is there any way I can use my picture? Minaj? I'm sorry. My contacts are getting really dry. But I keep in sight the fact that sometimes you gotta do wrong in order to get right. May y'all forgive when I'm in the darkness, looking away from the light at the end of the tunnel. For we have all had to return into dark rooms to prove we refuse to lose, or have to move along without all that have stood tall in order to make our visible mark. We strive for success, and dive in when we realize it's time for what's next. Perfect being as good as it gets, I refuse to accept anything less than the best. Civil rights movement, here we go again. It's cold. The view of a simply lone standing tree is enough for the eye to see, because rings deep is rooted victory over seasons, as well as time past that elapsed in the telling of many stories. We are far from nature's only sight holders. We are simply life soldiers. A tree finally responded during one of my confession sessions out alone embracing nature. She said, the toughest part of turning over a new leaf is growing and gaining another ring. I was wandering into the night regarding all that's entailed in this life I've lived, my many sins, and like the tree, having to settle with my own skins. And I can't and won't ever forget each of my regrets, my every best, every one of Mother Nature's many tests, and having to deal with Father Time knowing there's never a good guess. I don't control the sun, rain, storms, or misfortunes that come by me. Even avoiding trouble, it has always seemed to come my way on more than just a few days. Because if I could have it my way, I would be the lone standing tree. Hold on. I would be the lone standing tree. Ooh, sorry about that. Next one. I will be the lone standing tree. On the standing atop a mountainside landscape, jungle, forest, city side. I just want to be the one that remains, yet also entertains. My mission is to make you breathe excellence. So smoke for of ashes rises a phoenix. Because I never stop thinking, but it's rarely. Nope, never mind. Women inspire like words of fire. Remaining with the divine power to birth, heal, and it has always been through Eve which the future was revealed. Adam was a misogynist. He hungered not for knowledge, freedom, or equal civilization. We have many great women and many great nations selflessly dedicated to the next generation, which through education and information will continue to allow progress and reformation. And then this will be my last piece. It is freezing out here. I need to go inside. Need a drink. It is in my conscious corner that I feel comfortable suppressing my thoughts and embrace the creative nature of artistry. It is in the open among ignorance that thoughts become words I know should never transition to action. But I am far, but I am always learning and growing. Stay teachable. We must liberate ourselves to be the change we wish to see in the world. It is a sad fact that freedom is no longer free, that in life we must fight for what we seek, solutions. But we the people found too many inconsistencies that have created adversity and brought uncertainty to our people. Looking for answers, they name more problems. I know the real American history and how it began with oppression. It has affected our men, women, and underprivileged children. Education and information is the road to success, and there are too many wandering in this concrete jungle. Humanity points north and reality requires fuel headed east. So feast on life. Feed on the blood, sweat, and tears shed prior. Thirst to redefine equal opportunity so that affirmative action is unnecessary. My Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments. So tell me why the emancipation of slaves is the 13th and the women's suffrage ending is the 19th. Well, I guess I can't explain why we must campaign for human rights. But we have, can, and will continue to righteously fight. Get up, stand up, wake up. No taxation without representation, so check your local listings and demographics and realize that our House of Representatives needs to be updated. Election day is coming soon, and the struggle will forever continue. Because our founding fathers forgot the mothers that birthed them and the children of all nations that helped establish and build this nation. We must take pride in ownership and belonging. Be the best of both worlds to unite once again under 50 stars, 13 stripes, and a part of each day and each night. I dedicate my life to America. God bless everybody. And I'm back because I completely am freezing and forgot what the reason I'm here for. And that is to get you guys to donate to more. Get everybody, get their court fines paid off, get their issues resolved, have their people sleep with ease, knowing that there is support and there is love for not only Missouri but also Oakland, also Boston, also New York, also anywhere and everywhere that you yourself may feel the need to, take some initiative and form some change, because it's a referendum nation. So an initiative is just getting a petition, a lot of people together, get it to sign it, and we can become like Colorado, we can become like Washington, we can continue to progress in other states like Massachusetts, other areas, the LGBTQ, the Human Rights Campaign, feminism, women movement, just anything and everything. It's just liberate our thoughts, that therefore we can express ourselves freely. So equal opportunity is an option for us all. God bless. My heart and thoughts and prayers are out to those in Missouri, as well as a donation in the morning. So I hope everybody remains a part of the movement, active, aware, and involved. And again, thank you very much for this opportunity. Poets for Ferguson and more. So thank you again. Good night, guys. I'm out.
Hi, my name is Envion Payne. I'm a poet from Kansas City, Missouri, and I am coming here today. If you're just now tuning in, I'm letting you know we're taking donations for poets for Ferguson at or .tumblr.com. And
I'm gonna
the
watch a
donation,
little more.
and that's a group that's helping protesters who've been arrested in Missouri or Ferguson raise money for their legal fees. Please, if you can donate anything, we're asking that you go to poets.ferguson.tumblr.com, and I'm going to go ahead and get into my poetry now. Right. It is a black woman's birthright, learning to love easily disposable things. We, bearers of perceived threats, birth black boys. Raise black boys. Try to teach them how to press their baby faces against the razor sharp rhetoric of reality. Tell them to cut against the grain for best results. Try to protect them from being 5 o'clock shadows. Some would consider them blood sports, you know. And if they fail to mutilate all of the self out of them, they see a nuisance that can't be nuised now enough, the unwanted heirs on the face of Lady Liberty, and justice never sees it coming. A problem that can't be bleached or solved by waxing poetic. They want them painfully removed from their roots. If they can't pluck, they will shoot. But we, bearers of life, lovers of those whom society deems burdensome, bothersome, brown enough for their lives to lack an adequate sum, we, the women with so much universe in our hips that we birth black sons, the ones who have felt the magnitude of their light from the inside. We know they are blessings. We know they will always return to the sky. This next poem that I'm going to do is it's going to be a bit of a medley. And when I see situations like these, I always take the point of view of a mother, because I'm raising a little black boy in America. And if that's not a horror story, if that's not something to make you feel terrified, I really don't know what it is. But you can't let that distract from your role as a parent. You can't let fear ruin the joy that life brings you every day. So that's what this next poem is going to be. But we can't veer too far from reality either. So he thinks that bubbles are snow, that he bathes in the ocean, and that fall is something he should be careful of. Yet he is about as cautious as a pumpkin-colored leaf as he leaps from beds, couches, chairs to the floor like, "Mama, I'm just trying to fly." And I am in love with his affinity to go beyond. So every day at dawn, we pick a cloud to be his companion. And right at the start of every night, we voyage to Atlantis, a lost kingdom found somewhere between the parental warning sticker of reality and my child's imagination. "Mama, where's my daddy?" I lower my head. "Your daddy's busy, baby." "My daddy sure is always busy." I avert my glance. Hey mama, don't these bubbles look like snow? And I wish that I could take him and his ocean full of snow and encase it in a globe, but I know that more often than not, this world is cold. And sometimes, no matter how much you want it to, nothing grows except miracles, like how a firestorm was ignited in the tundra of my past, and now every day I find myself seeing the sun just for my world to revolve around. I was around 5 years ago. I was and wrote a poem, The Shape of Pinocchio. All that poem wanted was to be a real boy. That poem was my son. My son is a target, a brilliant and beautiful bullseye of a boy, his skin just black enough to be stained red and white. I'm frightened. I don't know much about riflery except that this world is full of marksmen, and my son is a target. I watch news reports reposting the same agony, black male slain, cut to the image of a grieving family and a community activist like Brooks or Washington, but I'm watching them, the souls of angels, drop to this earth to become men, but don't get a chance to be more than just targets. My son is a target, a potential victim to the blacktop bloodshed bloodline of a black boy whose breath is trying to be blown from his body, and oh my God, he deserves so much more than the prospect of being shot on prospect, because he can cross or check another boy, the target from his neck. These boys will die for their respect, but live for nothing honorable, too afraid to admit they are vulnerable. So they let their spirits become as hard and misshapen as the steel that will riddle up their bodies at will, while these tough guy games leave mothers in pain and crying. And I'd be lying if I said my son was not a target, not available to have his life bargained for over retro Jordan 4s, and I've tried to hide behind my eyelids. But the truth is, I have a kid who is subject to violence, a seedling that may never grow into a tree, a grain of sand that the tide may try to wash into the sea, but I can't live my life thinking that one day my child's smile might be a distant memory. Misery is found in the middle of the map as the guns clapping, cracked domes, the Glocks popping, shatter homes, and weary women write sad poems, trying to suppress the tears that our pregnant eyes have been holding. And I'm raising a son not knowing or able to tell, will he be taken by the cops like Sean Bell or Oscar Grant or Eric Gardner or Mike Brown? Or maybe after a party like Nathan and DeMarco. And my heart goes out to the families of Marion, Darian, Marquez, Marquand, Trayvon, Aiden, John, Joe, and every other boy taken before reaching his potential. All of this pain cannot be put to rest with one pencil or one poet. My soul gets lit and ignites my firecracker heart, and I wish that firecrackers were the only bang in the dark. But more than likely, the streets have just hardened under the weight of a new soul. And this just in, the new trend is bullet holes and funeral funds. And if you thought they had stopped in Tuskegee, the new wave of black genocide has begun. I don't want to be one of the millions of mothers left missing her only son, but that boy is a target. He has been a target since his conception, yet they tell us that our children are supposed to be our blessings. A notion I held on to the full time I was expecting, neglecting the fact that I would be giving birth to a target, a brilliant and beautiful bullseye of a boy, his skin just black enough to be stained red and white. Thank you very much for your time and for having me. It's such a wonderful experience to be a part of this opportunity. Artists across the country coming together for a good cause. For those of you who are just tuning in, that cause is going to be poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. That's where you can go find all the information, where you can go to make your donations. Please give back. This is a worthy cause. Thank you all so much. As you can see, it is bedtime around here, so good night. Bye.
Oh. No? Yes, I'm on. Hi, how y'all doing? My name is Jalal Hyler. I'm from Oakland, California, and we are here on the Poets for Ferguson.tumblr.com giant heart space movement across the country. And I'm very, very, very grateful to be part of it. I'm a little slow because it's been a long day. I'm tired. But I'm going to get right into a story that I have in poem. And don't forget to GoFundMe, which is under this video if you're on the Tumblr. If not, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. All right. My mother does not like violence. Like, she would look away at that scene in the movie where everyone's eyes grow wide and sticky. Like, she won't watch the movie in the first place. I remember as a kid making fun of her. I being the stupid, gross thing liking boy, her, the mother. As if she was standing on the chair screaming, "Mouse, mouse." It was after one of these brat mouth pokings of her sensitivity that my brother leaned into me and said, "You know why Mom doesn't want to watch that stuff? It's because she's seen way too much of it in real life." I remember feeling very dumb and sad and stupid. On the day my mother's first husband, John Huggins, was murdered, she was at home nursing their newborn baby daughter, my big sister, Mai Huggins, when a comrade phoned and told her that 2 men had been shot on UCLA campus. She was not surprised. He, for various mostly governmental reasons, could not name names. She did not ask for them. Instead, she asked if they were dead. Comrade said yes, and there began goodbye. I've never known my mother to utter a harsh word in anyone's direction, except maybe her own. She is the tree protecting everyone that may seek refuge, though her branches may be torn loose, the leaves made fast and crinkling. Still, I have never once heard her return the violence she has been given over and over again. A little less than 3 weeks before John Huggins was murdered, my mother had a dream. In this dream, there was a knock at the door. When the door opened, there stood 2 white men wearing black stingy brim hats and skinny black ties and black suits and shoes. And John was behind her in the room, and the 2 white men did not look at her but at John. And she turned and looked at John too, and in that moment knew that it was time for him to leave. The white men stepped forward and flanked John, each taking hold of an elbow, and as they silently took him away, John looked back and smiled softly. My mother woke from this dream, wearing a coat of tears she could not shake off. The day before she received a phone call, she opened the blinds to see that the house across the street, the one that had been vacant and bare for months, was all of a sudden dressed fully in fumigation tarp. Who really needs me to explain a foreshadow this thick? My big sister Mai was weeks old the day her father and Bunchy Carter were shot down. The day my mother is struck numb by a ringing phone. Later in the evening, LAPD will surround the house, but before that happens, Elaine, Joan, Janice, and others arrive to mourn John and Bunchy in person. My mother cannot cry, so instead makes cups and cups of coffee. Everyone decides without deciding that it is time to leave. As they are ready to make that jump, police, like footage of weeds growing in fast forward spring all up and around them, at the back windows, on either side the house, forcing themselves through the front door, guns, poised as the predator's cock. I remember there was this mud-cloth trench coat my mom's used to wear. I loved that coat. When she would walk, I would walk inside it with her. It was returning to the womb. My mother runs to the bedroom closet and grabs a wine-colored shaggy wool coat. She wraps Mai up and rolls this war-swaddled package under the bed. My mother thinks a simple, war-swaddled thought. Maybe I will die now. She will be fatherless and motherless, and she will be alive. After this thought, my mother does not think. I sometimes imagine my mother as she was when only my blood remembers. I imagine her speaking to a crowd or a book, a kitchen table of children, speaking as she was once, written in the soft creases that don't sit too heavily on her face, the complex metallurgy of angry and warring thoughts thorning her brow, a passionate oration, sweat filling her coat. It is hard for me to write about my mother. She is much. Warmth, red-brown skin, gentle fist of the warrior womb one, bone-clacked rhythm, open palm, the belly, the mud-cloth trench coat, her smell, rich, wet soil, drying warm in the sun, my first teacher, my appeaser, features form her guiding principles, heart box, the lonely magic, quiet wrath of the unwritten soul, in streets cracked and crumbling like ragged breath. I try to imagine her the person people ask me about, this womb one who fed the children and made war to a love song, battling back the creeping chokeweeds across this crippling earth, this place we come screaming to die into. Bone clack rhythm. Winter's knuckle knocking at the door round back of your head, nodding into that deep, calm, deep sleep what never come, till it do. And until then, bone, clack, bone, ba-bone, clack, clack, bone, clack, bone, ba-bone. A woman is pushing her infant daughter under a bed. She is sweating. There is a look on her face, a falling building, a crackling light, clouds gathering above like an old-timey picnic, forecast of the tautening rope, that coming something, guiding shape of her moving hands, and they are right outside now. And she is thinking of just how quickly things come undone. There is a space outside of space where it is always exactly the same different, the very same tingling tongue of the unknown at next nape, and the stars are just still out, and the moon is almost asleep, and the sun is whispering to you from beneath his covers. This great big old life what grips us hostage by the heart, tendons jumping off the hand for taste freedom, piston ankle gear shift hissing to the night, that deep black night. And the hound brays, and the moon will be watching, whatever happens. Ask my mother about the pigs. She'll tell you, now that's not fair. Pigs are intelligent and more often than not docile creatures. Now police, that is a whole nother monster altogether. After the ensemble of itchy-triggered, anxious fingers almost shot through a wine-colored coat, after being the only one unhandcuffed so she could hold her 3-week-old girl child in the back of a cruiser and be told it looked Chinese, and who was the father, Mao Tse-tung? After arriving at the infamous 77th Street police station, my mother had to watch as they fingerprinted the hardly yet fingerprint-having fingers of my soft muscle infant, big sister, her small little body, a swaddling of well-milked skin. And they did this why? because my mother saw a picture in the paper of a bandaged, brown-skinned man and the scared-eyed cop looming over him and drove across the country in a Volkswagen Rabbit to join the party, to make love to a war song. Because my mother was fucking with ye old stat quo, they fingerprinted my fucking infant sister, made her a little infant's arrest record and everything. So ask me again why I must always make such a great big deal of small little things. Ask me why my ears go flatline when I hear a us say revolution like it's a game to be won, instead of the games we supposed to refuse to play. Ask me why I can't never just calm down it, or it ain't that big a deal it, or just let it go. Ask me. My answer, Erica Huggins. Erica Cosette Jenkins Huggins. My mother, my sister, y'all. Thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful to be able to share my words with the ocean of words that we are trying to float up some positivity with. And I thank y'all very much. Go to poetsforferguson.tumblr.com and please go to the GoFundMe underneath this video box and help out. All right. Thank y'all very much for having me. Peace, peace, peace.
Hello? I'm on. What's up, everyone? My name is Eddie M. Gunn Jr. I'm originally from the Bay Area, now living in Los Angeles. It's a pleasure to be here. So definitely, support. Go to poetsforferguson.tumblr.com and definitely donate. GoFundMe. I have a few poems to see if I could squeeze in or whatnot. Well, for my first one, I work at a local high school. And there's this art teacher giving questionable instructions about how to make Chinese lanterns. Anyways, I talked to her about it. She didn't really understand. Anyways, I wrote about it. I was so frustrated. It's called Miss Art Teacher. We are making Chinese lanterns today. I love the Chinese, don't you? The Chinese have a beautiful culture. Their lanterns are really something. So class, I want you to create a list. Okay, write a list of that are Chinese, actually anything that is Asian. My heart detonated like Nagasaki, and that's Japanese. You see, to teach about the Chinese, by instructing the class to list down anything Asian, it's teaching the class anything Asian is Chinese. Not all Asians are Chinese. Most days, I sit quietly and let this art teacher teach. But if I stood silently this day, I'd be reinforcing the stereotype that we Asians are subservient. So I say, fuck that. I am Asian. This is my lesson. Your syllabus is full of ignorance and you don't even know it. You pretend to respect the Chinese, then lead an exercise that only exercises how ignorant you really are. Miss Art Teacher, what lesson are you hoping to teach? That ninjas are Chinese, that pho is Chinese food, that Taekwondo is a Chinese martial art, that Manny Pacquiao is Chinese. Miss Art Teacher, you strip us of our histories and lump us together. Your class is an internment camp in the U.S. Of course, I feel offended. In response, you told me, you should not feel offended. Your words were quick to split skin like butterfly knives, and that's Filipino. Do not validate my feelings whether I should or should not feel offended because I am Asian and you carry privilege you seem to have forgotten. Miss Art Teacher, it doesn't sound like you were listening. In your last defense, you said, well, my daughter speaks Chinese fluently. Your daughter speaking Chinese does not excuse you stereotyping Asians because, one, you are not your daughter. And two, speaking Chinese is not the same as being Chinese. Let me guess. You happen to have a friend who is also Chinese. All I'm asking for is a straightforward apology. Your attempt to justify does not remedy the damage like Agent Orange, and that's not Vietnamese. Miss our teacher, this poem is written on your construction papers. So when you do make Chinese lanterns in class, your students will learn a lesson. You failed to teach. So that's my first poem. And right now, it's middle school year, still working with her, and it's all a process. It's all a process, y'all. For next poem, I'm a community organizer here in LA for KMD Pro People Youth. Love my history, my culture, my people, and so I have a dual poem with Stephanie Sajor. It's entitled Shared Roots, and it's about a time when someone questioned our connections to our culture simply because we're born in America.
Okay. All right. You told us we were whitewashed.
Because we were born in America, we're whitewashed. We didn't know you didn't know us.
Oh, hey, what's your name?
You're Filipino?
Oh, we're Filipino.
Yeah, we were born in America.
Then you said,
oh. So you're whitewashed.
The words you spewed rattled my brain so there was nothing left but your ignorance echoing in my skull, pushing IQ points out of my ear into thin air. I suddenly felt dumb. I was speechless, breathless. You knocked the wind out of me.
Dizzying, spinning out of control. This was a familiar feeling. It felt like the Battle of Manila of 1899. You caught us off guard. Instead of a friendly handshake, I met with betrayal. The judgmental tongue of a Filipino brother lashed out, scathing me. Weren't you taught the importance of solidarity?
Those grapes have been peeled, but here I am, slicing them open again to show that I bleed the same red, white, blue, and yellow colors.
You have the same colored skin as us.
The same colored hair and eyes as us.
The same cultural roots as us.
You have a Spanish last name.
So more likely than not, you have the same mixed blood as us. For all of our similarities, you just focus on how we were different. According to you, that for being born here, we are culturally challenged.
Like we must have been born blind and we couldn't see through the eyes of Jose Rosales. He became a martyr for the Philippine Revolution.
You must have been born deaf, that we couldn't hear the screams of the thousands of POWs during the Bataan Death March. Like we must have been born without any senses.
As if we had no sense.
To know our history, to know ourselves.
Yes, we were born in a different time.
A different place, but that doesn't mean we don't give a damn about the Philippines. From motherland to birthplace, the hyphen in my identity is like the Pacific Ocean. So whenever I look up, I respect the beauty of the golden sun and 50 plus 3 stars. The days and nights share the sky like northern lights. Our world is not so different from yours.
We share the journey of our parents. So would you look into the eyes of your American-born children and tell them they're not true Filipinos,
they're whitewashed.
Presume about them what you presumed about us, that we wanted to scrub away our dark Asian islander skin in preference of a paler complexion, bleached and left out to dry.
You were wrong. Land, air, and sea divide us.
But history and ancestry entwine us.
American soul at my feet, Filipino blood in my heart. I embody the words of Ninoy Aquino. Lift the clenched left fist of Philip Veracruz. Heave the spear of Lapu Lapu with my right. And march forward with the fighting spirit of Gabriela Salon within. Don't let our American accents fool you. We are not whitewashed. I am. We are Filipino. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth. So over here, it's not as late as it is on the East Coast. I'm not sure if I have time for one more poem. I'm not sure. But it's really short. It's really short. Am I good? You good? Yep. All right. Cool. For my last poem, I wrote from the perspective of a security camera. So this piece is entitled "Shoot the Cops." I am the candid, nonpartisan, and unprejudiced. It is not what you know, it is what you can prove. It is what I can do. The only proof the boys in blue are bruising the people. See, look, zoom in on their badges, they do not brandish. Focus on citizen scars, wounds, and scabs. The boys in blues have suffocated the facts. Invisible guns in plastic bags, and I was there. I saw everything. I replayed the footage. Officer, sir, he is not resisting. Officer, sir, he can't breathe. Officer, sir, rib cages are not jail cells for bullets. Excessive to unholster your weapon. Life is worth more than a split second, more than a 2-year sentence parole. This is not a poem. This is an addendum for Oscar Grant. Remember, for Fong Lee, please remember, I missed him out of frame. I am sorry I didn't look when I needed. I wish I could undo these screws. It is not what you know, it is what you can prove. It is what I can do. I need your hand. I can't be God. If I fall, pick me up. If I shut down, fix me. If I can't move, give me mobility. Record. Brothers upon brothers have been battered and bloody by batons and parabellum bullets. Brothers upon brothers have been battered and bloody by batons and parabellum bullets. Brothers upon brothers have been battered and bloody by batons and parabellum bullets. Pause. It will happen again. It never ends. What I can do is shoot them. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Definitely support poetryferguson.tumblr.com. My name is Eddie Mgana Jr. Earlier, Stephanie Sajor. It's an opportunity. Support. GoFundMe. It's a great cause. Thanks for the opportunity, y'all. Thank you. Peace.
Alright, so I'm live, right? Alright. So, I'm just going to share 2 pieces, and we'll just go with it from there. Alright, so this is my first piece. I wrote this one really not too long ago, basically about the current situations of today, dealing with inequality, and we'll just let the piece speak for itself. So here goes. Let us purge. My tongue is gunpowder. Afraid to ignite these words, we're scared to speak. So we fire glances, shoot down confidence with our shotgun houses. The government learned to play target practice with poverty, good bullseye in the hood, where ramen noodles taste like ashes, and we've cremated our taste buds and earnings from our earnings, below minimum wage in funerals and expensive churches. It costs a fortune to meet God, so let us purge. It's another white on black crime poem, another oppressed black man poem, another racism poem. Well, I'm sorry. Sorry that going through the same issues every day because you're not getting the message is cliche. That Trayvon Martin story is cliche. Sorry, my fellow white police officers, that Sean Bell's name didn't have a nice ring to it. Sorry that Oscar Grant and Mike Brown was too brown to grant the opportunity to live. I'm sorry for presenting you with another one of those poems. So instead, let us purge. Let's purge with revenge. I want to fill George Zimmerman's refrigerator with Arizona tea and Skittles, wear my rainbow hoodie and take him out to lunch. We'll start with a Skittle tart appetizer, Arizona tea and champagne glasses, Skittles gumbo for the main course, yes. Skittles gumbo, green okra Skittles, red sausage Skittles seasoned with a delicate blue Skittle, and for dessert, Skittles cheesecake. I want to help him get over the stomachache afterwards. Give him a Skittle to take, wash it down with Arizona tea, and tell everyone how dangerous our evening was. I said, let us purge. Another woman raped. Body infiltrated like a stomach flu assassin. She had this coming like a pregnant sequel ready to give birth to the end of her story. She shouldn't have told him no. She has as much right to her body as a two left-handed streetwalker with two left feet, dancing in the left lane, landing on her left side, and left for dead. Who told you no means no? Let us purge. Let's purge on this microphone. This is my God-given right to sate my desires, to kill the boundaries, kill lower class hunger pain with a voice that feels like Thanksgiving. Feed this audience and leave filled like Thanksgiving. White collar crime, black collar crime, whatever. They're both still collars. Fabric worn out until the sleeves are monotone. So tonight, we purge. Our annual purge begins in 3, 2, 1. Purge. Alright, so that's the first one. And I actually got one more I'm going to share. Let me get to it right quick. Okay, so this one that I wrote, it doesn't really have to do with anything really current today, you could say. It's basically a poem about the way pastors think. And I just think this is a subject that, I mean, it doesn't really sit heavy on my heart, but it's just one of those subjects I decided to write about, and it had a little impact on my heart, so just get it right there. I'm still good, right? Okay. Pastors be like, and the Bible say, tattoos are for the devil. If you get a tattoo, you're going to hell. Let me get an amen. Amen, Pastor. Your teachings aren't supported with knowledge of its origin. Doesn't arise from the past to imply to our future, but amen. I can learn from you to judge a book by its cover, to read the title like a court case and convict the story before the words can set up its suspense. This is a library, not a courtroom, but you're right, Pastor. So let's remove our tattoos. Sir, that dove carrying the cross on your arm is pure evil. You won't get into heaven with that dove, so let's remove it. Pluck its feathers until the ink bleed over the cross. Pull each angle of the cross away from your arm. Pastor says you've been crucified to that evil long enough. Remove the rose with your grandmother's name under the stem. I know she passed away from cancer and she loved roses, but break the stem before your tears blossom into the soiled areas beside your eyes. Pastors say this will save you from hell. I realize the love for your wife of 25 years runs deep enough to have her name tatted on your chest, right on your heart. So each pulse dances with the syllables in her name. Every time she smiles at you, it dances more enigmatic. But Pastor says it's the devil. I know each letter feels like our hands are branded in your heart. You can taste all 25 years when you touch her name, but it's disrespectful to the pastor to display your deep affection. Remove it until your hands unfurl off her chest softly. Don't shatter that fragile mosaic passion in her fingertips. Removing this is as easy as it is to forget her. My baby cousin died in a car wreck from an illegal driver bringing a head-on collision. I have her name tatted on my arm. But the pastor says it's disrespectful to the Bible to carry remembrance of a beautiful baby nurtured in the image of her mother. I'll remove it. Pull her beautiful name off my body. Grip those precious hands her mother felt beating inside her stomach. Listen to my skin open like Bibles. Listen with the same ears that heard the life support on my beautiful cousin reach a flat line. Pastor says it will save me from hell. Pastor, remove your tattoo, your ideas of godly living tatted in your words, that sleeve of multicolored judgment, the church's judgment tatted in your sermons, the idea we're going to hell because we want the legacy of someone that means everything to us remain by tattooing our bodies with their memories. God doesn't approve of your tattoos. Pastor says, and the Bible says, if you get a tattoo, you're going to hell. I'll see you there. Thank you.
All right, my name is Ethan Rivera. I'm doing this from my living room in Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for letting me be a part of it and putting this on. This is really great. If you're out there, make sure to donate at the GoFundMe page for Poets for Ferguson. I've got a few poems I'd like to share. My face is a double coat. In genocide onto one canvas. But even my mother would forget the interpretation sometimes. She would tell me to stop talking black, that I was white, as if our tongues could be any color other than human. But when the towers disintegrated into a pile of gray, well, then she would tell me to shave before the airport. Because whenever the threat level is orange, my skin becomes just another shot on a mugshot top 10 list. You know, the first boy I met at college just threw a racial slur at me. He stared into my beard as if searching for proof, like I was just another war in Iraq, because I am the color of chemicals on the garage of flight school and Death Wish. But when I dance, they can call me white. And then the red states still get to call me wanted. And the blonde hair behind the register just asked if the white girl in front and my girlfriend, if she and the white boy in front are going to be paying together or separate. And most people just play color wheel with my face, throwing pigments into the conversation as if I am just abstract art. But the ones that hurt the most are the faces that scrunch like a squeezed sponge and hand me a baffled, well, what are you anyway? Because what I am is worth my weight in question marks. Because I am what this country looks like when the stars and stripes bleed together. This ambiguous, this American ethnicity. But for now the metal detectors still go off. And my bag is always searched, like my features. And so I surrender my carry-ons and allow their blue hands to investigate the assumptions between their fingers. I have two more I really want to share. I grew up in the suburbs, and I feel like that's kind of a big place where things grow like this. So this poem's called Denial Grows in the Suburbs. On the day in the 7th grade when I was too sick to ride the bus to school, Brandon threw the N-word at Dirk and was suspended from school. The rumor in the hallway was Dirk made him say it. You know, Brandon lived next door, His family believed in button-down shirts every Sunday morning. Rumor has it, Brandon regretted the word between the G's. I believe it was Dirk's fist that he was most afraid of, the way it crashed through his glasses, landing him squarely on the floor. But no one in the neighborhood spoke of it. We were all so suburban. Back then, the word sat in the mouth of a white boy like a myth. I can't remember hearing the word before that. I still don't remember anyone actually saying it. I do remember Brandon and I carpooled to school every morning after that. I remember being glad I didn't have to wait for the bus. I remember that Brandon and I never discussed it. Not once. This next one, I wrote in response to a lot of the things that have been happening. I work at a children's hospital, and had a 10-year-old kid tell me some stuff, and the kinds of stuff that you don't tell if you're not 10 years old. So this is a note to the 10-year-old boy who told me his father kicked his sister out of the house for getting herself a black boyfriend to be opened on his 16th birthday. And the highway is still under construction. The orange barrels remind you it wasn't built right the first time. Because this is how we fix things in America. We pave over them. We smooth the entire operation and pretend it will not erode under our grinding tires because no one complains about a smooth ride. Your father is a pothole. Equality is still under construction in America, even after the fires in Detroit and the March on Washington. We are still here, hoping for safer streets to ride on, ones where the potholes don't have nails in their waistbands or badges on their breasts. In America, we smooth things over with police reports and tar, with tanks and tar, with CNN and tar. A God-fearing man told me, hell is beneath our feet, but don't worry, we can patch a little hell. These tires have to do it every day. We get flats, but the TV says hell is a little darker than you, and all we have been doing is riding on this foundation of potholes and mouths and teeth and tar, and America turns up the radio, because America prefers the quiet throats of roadkill to the gravel it calls progress. And I will do one more. I really appreciate the time, everyone, and it's 4 in the morning here, and I love that we're doing this all together and making this thing go. So let's keep it up, and excited to hear a lot of the voices I've been hearing. So. When they teach you about addiction and mind-altering substances, they neglect to tell you that the most powerful drug is a room full of people that looks just like you. It makes you do things. It makes bad jokes funny. You begin to crave the hegemony of homogeny. The power courses through you, a lightning strike. You almost can't help yourself. You know, when I walked into a royal flush of faces, a man stood up and asked the audience, "Where's TSA?" You know, in rooms like these, my skin braces for the whip, often wielded in ignorant hands, the frayed tip swinging wildly, whistling 1950s America. I mean, had he said it in a room full of people that looked just like me, that would have been far more brick-through living room window than bloody-faced mob. But he can avoid rooms where his privilege is checked at the door, rooms where silence is a requirement for his survival. I do not get this luxury. When I walk through security, my face is the search warrant. Each TSA officer is a promoted Arizona State Trooper. I mean, have you ever had your skin combed with latex? I bet he's never been guilty without the gavel. I have felt entire terminals hold their breath as I await my flight. Seen them search for proof that I am their greatest fear. But these rooms, they never look like me. I am just some homemade explosive to them. But when he walks in, I only get to be fortunate that he is unarmed. You know, I fear there is a comedy in my blood that he is seeking. A deep belly laugh that he had the audience for. Tell me, when he walked in that night, do you think he had to provide ID? And when our politicians took up podiums to protest a Muslim cultural center being built in the center of Manhattan, turning freedom of religion into a trademark of pre-terror America, where they required to remove their belts and shoes first. When a California mosque was threatened with an assault rifle, where were the x-ray machines? 6 stab wounds in the back of a man whose religion was twisted by our country's fear. Where were the metal detectors? A Hindu man shoved in front of a subway car by a woman who made a terrorist of him. Where was her pat down? Where was TSA? Halloween 2009, I am in a haunted house. The man blocking my path is masked and holding an axe. The axe is the sharpened American flag raised above his head. There was a verdict in the hands, a sentence in the handle. He is the executioner in this courtroom, and I can feel his breath as his accusations fire into my mouth. He says, I am Osama bin Laden. And he drops the axe. And he removes the mask to reveal a face like everyone else's in the room. And they are all just laughing. And I'm the only one that thinks they gave that man an axe. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Can everybody hear me? My name is Damon, coming to you from Seattle, Washington, 1:20 in the morning. Really appreciate everybody who's put this together, everybody who's participated, showing support for, again, Poets for Ferguson and for all the protesters, and definitely go to GoFundMe to your financial support. So I have a few pieces. Most of these are brand new. It's called Other Side of the Fence. If the history in your bones rattles easy, don't be trying to make them shake like Harlem or steps. If the swish in your swagger be all sway, don't be trying to dangle it like gravity been taking swings at your souls. You and I fall from different heights. If you chase after sunlight, convinced it owes you something, watch reality shows like they gospel and you done caught the Holy Ghost. If you pigeonhole skin tone like blackface, don't be trying to grab hold of my hand like I offered it to you. Your craving may call my hunger brother, but they pray to different gods. Invest in mirrors, not sideshows. Decide which side you want to break this time. The carousel music is slowing. The Trojan horses have stopped prancing to the melody. It is difficult to feast on my flesh if both your hands hold knives. But you can't help consider what I will do if you set one of them down. Alright, this one's a little older. A black man walks into a bar. 2 black men jump off a building. How can you tell if a black man is lying? Why did the black man wear a tuxedo to his vasectomy? What do you call 4 black men in a car? What's long and hard on a black man? What are 3 things you can't give to a black man? What's the difference between a black man and a set of tires? What's the difference between a black man and a pothole? What's the difference between a dead dog in the road and a dead black man in the road? What's the difference between a dead skunk in the road and a dead black man in the road? What's the difference between a black man and a bucket of shit? It's funny, 'cause it's true. It's funny, 'cause it's true. I love black people. Rinse. Repeat. I love black people. Rinse. Repeat. I love black people. The formula for hate is a simple recipe. The questions require no answer. The statements need no punchline. They are incisor and chomp, molar and crush, gutted and strung up as each line is uttered. The spectacle is in the finger pointing, and the half second after the cackling stops when one realizes what it is they are truly laughing at. And this is the last piece that I have for you. Again, please show your support for Poets for Ferguson. Head on over to GoFundMe. It's called Headlines. No bent knees or bent breath. No rosary beads. No grip regardless of strength or frailty. No hymnal sung in solidarity. No revival housed in hallowed halls, no Holy Ghost caught or set free, no vigil with hundreds in attendance, holding repentance or vengeance between their consonants, no gavel stamp of innocence and no flood of candles lit will put breath back into lungs, will conjure the drum to beat again. Break a family trying to stand tall minus one leg. Now, they chase consolation like wagging tails in press conferences and tides turning, in headlines and hashtags, in stone slabs acting as place markers to weather the sands blowing. How they wither us all and prompt forgetfulness. And try to make us believe this is the first time around this bend, that seasons aren't cycles, that winter isn't white or bitter, that the white death doesn't hunger to blanket us out. In the stories, only the fairest ever wake from winter. No tabernacle choir, no presidential head nod, no protest or millions marching, no celebrity endorsement or rejection, no crowdfunding, no amount of tears will erase the mountains of chalk outlines, will put the black powder back into the empty shells, will fade the red from the targets on our chests, will get blood from headstones, will author a new ending to the old story we have all heard before. Thank you. Thanks again to everyone who is contributing, to everyone who has contributed. Have a good night, y'all.
Hi everyone, I'm Derek Carr. It's significantly past my bedtime. I'm in Oakland. It's not that late. It's 1:30 in the morning, but it's significantly past my bedtime on any night that something as amazing as this isn't going on. So thank you to everyone who's around and watching. It's Poets for Ferguson. You can check out more about everything that's going on at poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. And if you head there, you can also find the link for the GoFundMe, which we're using to raise funds for people who have been arrested in protesting for Ferguson, to better help them with their legal defenses. And I'm going to read some poems. So in theory, I'm going to read a few things. Half of the things I'm going to read tonight are going to be mine. Half of them are going to be... That's not true. I'm going to read some poems of mine. And I'm currently at this place where I have this fascination with bricks because I keep wanting to throw them. And that's something I'm working on. And I'm going to start with something that I've got that involves a brick, though not in the same way that they're figuring in my mind lately. So this is something that, at minimum, likes to... It's a family poem. We're lying in bed, and you ask why I love you at a distance. I whisper the answer I give the wind when its voice prods, boy, where you come from. The questions, yours and the wind's, are the same. It's all history. I'm what you get when you pump pills, liquor, bayou, and Bibles through an American-made engine, driving toward lust. My mother says meeting her in-laws was seeing the Cosbys walk from between her box-top rabbit ears to hug her. I knew them as God-fearing folk taught me to rebuke Satan with my mouth as if the wolf pays any heed to the cries of a lamb. Once, Granny told my mother that red lipstick was a harlot's crucifix. My grandfather kept regular congregation with Larry Flint, and they would leaf through their high-gloss hymnals to praise the skin of other women. He would kneel at the altar between his mattress and make hymns from his palms and the stills of their flesh. It was an open secret, like a drunkard uncle who only goes to church for the communion wine, secret like the way he guzzles at every sacrament. And she is a dutiful wife and a walking mercy. Her eyes try to inherit the blind penance due for his sin. In the decades since his bones ate him, she hasn't even looked at another man, and this is half of how I learned love. I've never asked my father what he thought when he met his in-laws. He's too polite to tell me now. But he's not stupid. He must have known that my grandfather is Geppetto, filled with regret, running strings through human flesh to make the marionettes dance. My grandmother was raised in the aisles of a Motor City department store. Her hands folded precise creases and crisp pleats between pistons, pumping Valium and Oxycontin. I saw a picture of her before the wedding once. She had a smile like a stained glass window that somebody put a brick through. You could see the light leaking out. When my grandfather left, he took every child old enough to be off the tit, a string twitch, to make her follow. She didn't. And when he decided to uproot his children, he remembered that liquor moves dirt better than shovels. We're both engines, you and I. The swamp water we trudge through is coolant. I'm a bayou across from you on days I remember lineage. I tread towards you on days I remember that I'm more than that. And I sink into the sluice. When I'm unsure, you know when to endure and when to let go. So that was my first poem, and like, if there's anyone who's just joining us now, you're watching Poets for Ferguson, and we've been reading poems for about 22 hours, and we'll be going for about, if we've been reading, I lied, 22 hours was wrong, 14 hours, and that's also just not true. But it's 24-hour poetry reading of poets from all across the country. I'm in Oakland, California. My name is Derek Carr. And yeah, so we'll be reading poems here on this live stream for 13 more hours. And I'm going to read another poem. Unfortunately, that requires a bit of sifting through the open documents that I have on my computer. But I will read this poem because while not exactly relevant to the current situation. It's not immediately and apparently relevant to the current situation for people who aren't paying attention. This is a poem that's it's a poem about like figuring out how to relate to a lot of the trauma that's going on, and in this slightly different context, from a slightly different time, but still all the same. I lied. I'm not going to read a Trayvon Martin poem because there's a lot going on in the world, and maybe the things I want to read are less sad and more triumph, because there could be more of that in the world. Yeah, so going to read something right now. It's called Daedalus Speaks from His Deathbed. Daedalus is a mythological figure who, if you're into mythology, you'll remember he was the person who built the labyrinth in Crete because he was a master architect and really good at building shit. He's also the father of Icarus, who we all think of as the boy who flew too close to the sun with wax wings with feathers woven into them. His wings melted. He fell into the ocean. And another thing that Daedalus did in Greek mythology was pushed his nephew, Talos, from the top of Minerva's temple. Minerva's temple being a really high building in ancient Greece, and Talos being a brilliant inventor who, in his short, I think 12 years alive, managed to build a compass and a saw from the bone of a fish. And so myth holds that Daedalus pushed Talos because Talos was too damn smart and was upstaging him. All right. They say to float in the Styx requires a clear conscience. I'm going for a dip soon. Listen, his wings were melted down as an afterthought, and there was no accident in the way the sky made my boy into a star, just waiting on a wish. Icarus burst from the womb already in love, his mouth singing like an abyss. He inhaled like he could suck the light from a room. I never had to teach him that sometimes love is nothing more than learning to swallow someone whole and being able to hold them. My boy was born always knowing which pocket life tucked its best secrets into. He would stare at the sun unblinking, ask me once if I thought it would shine prettier through a bird's belly, if I had ever witnessed that nature of eclipse. When he listened to the ocean, he pondered how tender the embrace would be if a body could ever truly sink to the bottom. There was too much in that boy for him to ever find a match in anything but the eternal. I told him to stay the middle course between the salt spray and the updraft. I was pleading, child. Now is not the time for you to choose. And they forget that wings, wax, or otherwise, only break for trauma. He screamed my name in triumph when the water rushed up to love him. His body never washed ashore. The sea is a jealous mistress. All I found were feathers that looked nothing like the ones I had melted into his wings. The sky flashed black for a moment at midday. That's my boy. There are ways to avoid choosing. After his fall, all the lyre in my chest strummed was praise. Talos came to tune it because everyone listened and heard grief. It was not jealousy that flung that brilliant container of a boy from Minerva's rarefied air. It was science. I had to prove what the gods do when a promise falls wingless from the sky. I watched him twist form. Rash of feathers burst from his spine, marrow leak out from his new hollowed bones. He beats his wings low now, camps in the mid-current, afraid to fall again. When I pushed him, I trusted him to already know that he was freer than I had ever done, and that is my regret. Talos, there's still a love waiting for you to swallow it. I'm still watching for your eclipse. Alright, so how am I doing on time? Do I have time to do another thing? Cool. I'm gonna do another thing. Um, and so, if you've been watching and hadn't noticed, well, you might not make assumptions. I'm black. So a lot of things that happen in my life have to do with being black. Just be that way sometimes. So I live in Oakland, as I mentioned earlier, and I live in this warehouse, and there's a 4th of July party at my building every year. And this is about this most recent 4th of July. Most days, when I think of freedom, I see a bird that cleaves open the night. Each wing beat strips the black back. I peer into that gap and push through. Somewhere else. That other place. Where freedom lives. Today, freedom slow drips from every tongue, and the people decide whether to celebrate by feasting, fucking, or emulating. Pick 1. Fireworks. Pick 2. Charcoal flame grill. Pick 3. Stoke your lover. Bump bodies until you both combust. Swallow the embers. Today, we call freedom by its given name. Say nothing of its mother's disappointment. My teenage neighbors fling ping pong balls at solo cups and belt happy birthday so loud it drowns out the street, which is, by now, nothing but bang and light. I sit on a warehouse roof in Oakland with the cash-strapped white artists who've made brick chic. They yell and hiss at the police cars passing below and don't have the good sense to duck afterwards. We're watching the sky, me and these people who think of freedom as something already right here, ringing from fuses in every direction. We listen and laugh as freedom mars the sky so thick it would ground a bird, or at least mask its wings. The further east we look, the more bang and bright we see. More poverty too. Freedom must be a simple thing to shoot into the night when so much of it has already been stripped. Westward, white beams wrapped red stream skyward. A flashbang barrage straight from an 80s arcade cabinet. The torrent aims for a bird. An invader, crazy and flapping swerve-driven wings, a spiral whirl, blossoms in the sky. Born by soot, she streams toward the sulfur cloud, wingtip, slicing the night. A hailfire of spark against this beast, too busy being whatever she wants to be afraid. This is what it means to be free, and my eyes follow her through the clouds. Next I know, I am awash in daylight. A wire brush beats against the metal grill at my mother's. Meat shrinks in the heat. We roast on the 5th because independence came late for us. But it did come. So we do feast. And we do burn. I read some poems. Again, this is Poets for Tumblr. If you're tuning in and tuned in the middle of me reading, we're doing a 24-hour live stream of people reading poems all over to raise funds for the legal defense of people who've been arrested protesting what's going on in Ferguson. Thus far, we've been reading poems for 11 and a half hours. We'll be doing this for 12 and a half more. And you should contribute to what we're doing if you are in the position to, by clicking the link for the GoFundMe, which is directly below this video on the Tumblr site, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. Unless there be anything else, I will go back to probably Sasha.
I am the lead organizer on Poets for Ferguson, and I am going to read you guys some poems, but first I want to say thank you to everybody who has watched so far. Right now it is 4:43 a.m. Eastern Time. I can't believe that I'm still awake, and I can't believe that you are still awake wherever you are. Thank you for watching, for sharing. This is trending, and I'm really excited about that. We've also gotten several donations over the last whoever knows how many hours we've been doing this. So thank you so much for that. I think we're going to just take some time and cover a few poems for you guys, whoever's still awake and listening and watching. I'm going to start with a couple of poems by Rita Dove. This is her lovely face. And I'm going to find you some poems to read. Rita Dove was like the United States Poet Laureate in the early 1990s, and she has this collection of poems called Thomas and Beulah that are about her grandfather and her grandmother, and it's a suite of poems, meaning they're like sister poems that are all put together, that have like a running narrative all together, and it's just a really smartly written collection of work. So if I can find the one that I'm looking for, I'm going to read you a poem or two or three. What do you guys think, everyone at the bottom of my screen? 2, 3 poems? 2? 1. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me find the one that I'm going to read. Give me 1 second. Okay. This one's called Obedience. That smokestack, for instance, in the vacant lot across the street. If she could not order it down and watch it float in lapsed time over buckled tar and macadam, it would stop an inch or two, perhaps, before her patent leather shoes. Her body's no longer tender, but her mind is free. She can think up a twilight, sulfur flicking orange, then black as the tip of a flamingo's wing. The white picket fence marching up the hill, but she would never create such puny stars. The house, shut up like a pocket watch, those tight hearts breathing inside. She could never invent them. That was called Obedience by the lovely and amazing Rita Dove. And let's see, I think, what's up next, guys? Do we have one more poem? Torian, okay. All right, you guys have another poem coming up next, and more cover poems from other artists, so stay tuned. See, that's why I can't take a nap.
All right. So, y'all can hear me, right? All right, good. So, gotcha. So, my name is Torian if you're just tuning in. I'm really new to this, again. So, we have a lot of issues going on today with equality and just being black in general. So, this one that I'm going to read is actually for ladies in general, like that's dealing with the idea that you have to be beautiful if you're like 3 or 4 shades brighter. So this is one of my favorite pieces, and hope y'all enjoy it. So let's go. Of all the loves I've ever had, you are the most amazing. Coffee. With your ethereal aroma luring the soul from my body's temple to blend with your presence. Your exquisite taste aroused taste buds to rendezvous inside my spirit, so I stand breathless with my lips, and your steaming aura forms a companionship. Coffee, you're the best girlfriend. You wouldn't cheat on me, and you're so hot. And my parents, they approved of you because you're the definition of queen. I mean, my parents, they really don't approve of our relationship. You see, I had too much of you, and I got a speeding ticket on a bicycle. But it doesn't matter, Coffee. I am madly in love with you. And men, my girlfriend Coffee, she has quite a history, and I understand my woman's pain. Society doesn't like their coffee black, nor powerful without adding a little cream to lighten her complexion. And when I was ready to get rid of you simply because you were too dark, I just took a coffee break, passed you on to the next man and the next man until eventually the best part of waking up is with Folgers in every man's cup. And because she doesn't have a Coca-Cola bottle shape, most men don't find her very attractive. She told me she began to envy that, and that's why Coffee mugs. See, men, we don't realize coffee makers are actually metaphors for slave ships. You've been shackled inside coffee filters next to your dark roasted sisters until your master was ready for you to sink into his expectations and serve him. We've been selling women for generations inside coffee shops, which is nothing but a more appealing phrase for slave markets. Prostitution is the Starbucks gift card for our happy hour, and I'm no star when it comes to a buck because coffee costs $4, including your ancestors hung from coffee trees, shaping their wooden foundations into coffee tables with circular expectations to carry the weight of your history upon. Coffee, you've been abused for so long, men got into the habit of purchasing you after you were crushed, but baby, understand. You don't have to be as bright as French vanilla to be the creme de la creme. We are deeper than soulmates. We are coffee mates. And I blended our heartbeats sweet and low like mochas since our pulses became equal. And I'm proud you weren't born caffeine free because I'm addicted to you. And I know this because I moonwalked on my treadmill for 30 minutes without realizing it was unplugged. And see, this is why I love to espresso myself on this mic, Coffee, because I'm madly in love with you and not because of your color. But when we brewed your personality with mine inside my coffee pot heart, the cadence blended passionately to pour the perfect couple. All right, so yeah, so that's the one I wanted to share. I got time for one more. All right, cool. So I'll turn it over to them to thank y'all for listening. So.
All right, so it's me again. This time I'm going to read some other people's poems. This one's coming from Yusef Komunyakaa and his book, Chameleon Couch. Again, in case you haven't been here and you're just now tuning in, this is Poets for Ferguson, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. We're reading poems to raise money. We're reading poems to raise money for the legal defense of protesters who've been arrested in Ferguson. So the poem I'm about to read now is it's called English. Once again, it's by Yusef Komunyakaa. When I was a boy, he said, the sky began burning, and someone ran knocking on our door one night. The house became birds, and the eaves too low for a boy's ears. I heard a girl talking, but they weren't words. I knew one good thing. A girl was somewhere in our house, speaking slow as a sailor's parrot. I glimpsed Alice in Wonderland. Her voice smelled like an orange, though I'd never peeled an orange. I knocked on the walls in a circle. The voice was almost America. My ears plucked a word out of the air. She said, friend. I eased open the door, hidden behind overcoats in a closet. The young woman was smiling at me. She was teaching herself a language to take her far, far away, and she taught me a word each day to keep secret. But one night I woke to other voices in the house, a commotion downstairs and a pleading. There are promises made at night that turn into stones at daybreak. From my window, I saw the stars burning and the river brighter than a big celebration. I waited for her return with my hands over my mouth. I can't say her name because it was dangerous in our house so close to the water. Was she a boy's make-believe friends, or a beehive breathing inside the walls. Years later, my aunts said 2 German soldiers shot the girl one night beside the Vistula. This is how I learned your language. It was long ago. It was springtime. And that was English by Yusef Komanyako. Going back to Sasha.
Okay, I am going to read you a poem by Patricia Smith. And let's see. I'm going to see which one I'm going to read you right now. Okay, I think I will read The Ghazal. So it's a ghazal which is also a form poem, and this is by Patricia Smith from The Blood Dazzler, which is, again, a book of poems written entirely about Hurricane Katrina. There were early indications that this was no mere rain when the b-boys stopped their ballin' to shout, "Yo, you hear rain?" But air just danced wrong around them. Doomed brick and wood shivered a little. Children saw no reason not to go near rain. Storms had roared through their little lives, cleansing and slamming shut whole seasons, putting on a lushness show. Should they fear rain? Never. They tilted their faces up, giggled and swooned beneath the battering wet, felt denims slog with weight, with sheer rain. To punctuate their flailing dance, guts swirled and grew heavy with stone. Sparks slapped tree sides. Chaos roared its loud and clear rain. Everyone else tried hard to vanish the sight of dripping nomads rowing cardboard boxes. No, this was not mere rain. Knowing it wouldn't end, mothers pulled whole lives to rooftops and wailed for light. Wept a blue note so we won't know. A tear. Rain. Still, they are there, gasping for new sky, while the b-boys search the soggy wreckage for game. They curse the disappeared rain.
Okay, so I'm live, right? Cool. All right. So besides, we have other problems going on today, as far as this elevator scene between Ray Rice and his lady. So this poem is basically dedicated to that incident. So here we go. Elevator music today. Fifth floor. Blues. The Baltimore Ravens star player Ray Rice makes his fiancée scream in soprano. A punch to her jaw in E minor. Blues around her eyes, blues around her jawline. She crashes to the floor like cymbals in a car wreck. This is a #1 hit. Domestic violence doesn't sound good until you hit the right note, so hit her. Fourth floor. Blue Ivy. Solange records her best hit on Jay-Z. She left a crater of scars on his face. Her knuckles crashed like drunken meteorites drinking too much stardust. Every time she smiles, a volcano of blood vessels erupt in my head, and my pride is forced to evacuate with no escape route, no SOS, no emergency kit. This is a dusty suitcase full of steam I desperately need to blow off, so I wrote this into my pen, went into a coma. Third floor. Pop music. Solange, Ray Rice, creating music. You have the world thoroughly convinced that Jay-Z was afraid to fight you, that Ray Rice could get away with turning his fiancée into a black-eyed, please don't hit me. So what is a man and a woman supposed to do when biting off more than you could chew is a question when you're hungry for answers? When a man's fist is full of diamonds, turning the other cheek is scrap metal, and trying to decide which one is more valuable to the world. Solange, Jay-Z didn't hit you not because he's afraid. He didn't hit you because he's a damn gentleman. And Ray, it's funny that your last name is Rice because you're an uncooked gentleman having a tough time to digest what it means to be human. Second floor, acapella. Pack your bags, Solange and Ray Rice, because you two are about to take a guilt trip. You wouldn't know what a gentleman is because, see, I'm thoroughly convinced your last significant other was a terrorist's favorite landmine, a psychopath listening to One Direction on a crossroad trying to strangle U-turns with stop signs. You wouldn't know what a gentleman is even if it slapped you in the face. I take that back. You two believe you have a gentleman when he slaps you in the face, when the back of his hand is a straightforward promise not to break his promise on the impact. First floor, rock. If it was me on that elevator, I'd be a rolling stone that take out two birds. That elevator would be full of weeds, lipstick stains, uncooked rice, and raisins from the 5th floor down to the 1st. I would have knocked that dirt off your shoulders. Ray, you still black as hell, but I would have still beat the white off of rice, turn this elevator into a rice cooker, bury a raisin right next to Edgar Allan Poe, with my apologies. You two deserve each other. You would bring the best out from each other, the best #1 hit, throw rice in the air, and you two could get married to your ignorance. You two are the reasons actions speak louder than words, that knuckles hold conversations, that young women sleep with one eye open and the other eye is closed from an elbow to the face. The reason a gentleman is labeled to be a gentle man, put soft touches on his words to carry him through hard times. Beyonce said if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it, not to put them in a wrestling ring to body slam adversity in a tag team match against double standards and push your significant other to their limits. You two wouldn't dare try that with me. And about time those elevator doors open, all the hits, all the blues, all the pop music I created will be a soundtrack begging to be placed on repeat. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to share another one of my favorite poems with y'all. This one is from Lucille Clifton's Book of Light. And Lucille Clifton is a black poet who's been writing for a while, probably since about the I'm bad at dates, especially at this hour, since the 70s. And and she's phenomenal. If you aren't familiar with her work, we're going to help you fix that. Also, we are in the midst, in case you're just tuning in, Poets for Ferguson. You can check out more about everything we're doing at poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. We're running this 24-hour live stream of poems that's currently about 12 and a half hours in to raise funds for the legal defense of protesters who've been arrested in Ferguson. And with that, I'm going to start reading this poem that's left untitled in the book, but is the first line is nothing about the moment. Starts with an epigraph. Nothing is told us about Sisyphus and the underworld. Albert Camus. Nothing about the moment, just after the ball fits itself into the bottom of the hill and the world is suspended and I become king of this country. All imps and imposters watching me, waiting me, and I decide. I decide whether or not I will allow this myth to live. I slide myself down. Demons restoke the fire. I push my shoulder into the round world and taste in my mouth how sweet power is. The story gods never tell.
Okay, so I am going to read a poem by Araceli Stromae called Teeth. Ha! And they can hear you. Sorry. And this poem is called The Piano. I watched them lift the old body out under a moving blanket. With not much struggle, they passed the spider plants and ferns, and I sat with my brother in the car as they lifted it into the bed of my cousin's white truck and tethered it with ropes and hooks. I remember it looked like a whale. It almost rained. It was such a silent day. And the key clicked. The engine started. My cousin made a U-turn at the driveway when the good body flew out. Defiant, perhaps, after years by a window. Truthfully, I cannot say if she jumped or if she was thrown by the velocity of an engine. I do not know if this was always the plan or if she, blindfolded, simply thought she was walking out into an air that would hold her. I remember her wide body and how she flipped out over the side, and there was nothing we could do, and how she crashed into the street with her 100 teeth and voices. And there was nothing we could do but run out into it. The street, I mean. Keys splintered like bones, and my mother cried quiet. And the neighbors opened their doors, as they will do, looked out from their windows, and the air felt not enough, and the clouds felt far away, and because we were sent inside my grandmother's house while they logged the pieces into silver trash cans, I held my brother's hand to make him and to take him up there. And the two of us watched from the window as my mother swept the street. The hole in my heart is so big, room enough for the sky to pass through holding Jupiter's hand. I can fill it with a mountain. I can fill it with a name. So perfect and used up and broken.
Okay, so this poem is basically dedicated to the 230 young women that were abducted in Nigeria and sold away as brides. So this poem is basically dedicated to that. She begins to walk her wedding aisle, pure white like a cloud of satin. Each step she takes elevates the rate of her heartbeat that mingles with her nervous eyes. Her blinks are their conversations. Her wedding dress, beautiful like buttercream angel wings, layering a body of chocolate goddess, the audience. Unfinished sculptures, she chisels the expressions on their faces with her walk. She is the crafter with each breath, the tools with each step. Their smiles are sculpted by the gaze in her eyes. They become her temple to praise the moment. She stands before her groom, veil over her face, gleaming in the sunlight through her eyes. There's a full moon in her posture, controlling the tide of tears on her cheeks. She is the eclipse from her smile, a casted shadow begging for a bright future. As he removes the veil, I want to ask him, how could you marry her? How could you believe she walked into your life when really her footsteps were dragged away from a school desk, guided into trucks and driven miles from where she stood? But you walk carrying her glass freedom in your shoes, her paper mache smile in your footprints, her porcelain laughter inside the heels of your feet. Ironic that I said heels in your feet because she's not healed, she's broken every time you walk into her fragile life. Her nightmares are your dream catchers' wet dreams. Her screams in the middle of the night are your orgasms, but it's funny because your care is celibate the way you don't give a fuck. Her mother is searching sound waves, hoping one of those frequencies is the voice she carried for 9 months, hoping that bassinet of tears in her eyes will help her see her baby. Every time they cascade down her cheeks, her throat is a Sahara desert of rigid vocal cords with a mouth of cactus tongue trying to scream her daughter's name, but the sound gets dehydrated and dies under the cries. Her bed is a funeral every night, the way she buries her face in her pillows. Where does she go from here? When freedom tastes like a proposal to be bonded, I heard a woman plans her wedding way before high school, so you are a borrowed blueprint begging to be better than the original. You're a fictional skyscraper where every story is another chapter building heights to elevate a climax. You're not built to laugh. You're not built to last, so how can she love your character and hate the plot? When she throws the bouquet, she's promising her sister to the highest bidder. This is her dream wedding. I'm so happy for you. And there you stand, hand in hand, in a chapel filled with silence. As you remove the veil over her eyes, go ahead, knowing that she walked into your life priceless, and she was dragged into yours at a cost of $12. Go ahead and kiss your bride.
All right, I'm gonna read some more poems. Again, Poets for Ferguson, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. If you're here and watching, we love you. There's a lot of wonderful words that have been going on and will continue to go on. Right now, we're just taking some time to breathe from some of the original work and just share some of the other work that we know and have come to love already in our lifetimes. So I'm going to read another poem after I once again briefly remind you to, if you are in any position or means to contribute to the GoFundMe for this, which is raising money for the legal defense of protesters who were arrested in Ferguson. All right, so I am going to read this wonderful poem from Ross Gay from his book Bringing the Shovel Down. And this poem's called Say It. If I told you we were slapping the beat to some Barry White jam crooning from the boombox, and that every single one of us at one point or another jumped up to shake what shook on us, and there were lines of us in step and a loon in every one of our mouths who knew, and one of us in his pressed shirts dancing his dead father's hunched back smooth, and another singing back up like hers, and another shaking his head no, but meaning yes, oh, yes. And if I told you that the proprietor of this roadie joint dragged his wife from the kitchen where she was busy currying chana for the best doubles in Brooklyn, so she too might witness this unabashed racket, this stampede of glee and goof, this clan of black clad. And if I told you today we laid down one too young to lay down, praise the body, its miraculous stutter and thrum, praise its slosh and drag and drone, and every particulate driving toward the dirt. The rampant heart is its last kick and holler, the blood clot's last long swim to the lung. Praise the lung, its last whistle, and the kidneys no more. Say this. Say praise, the machine hiss your father became. In the quick way he gave it up. Say, praise the liver's dread swell. Say it again. Say it with your heart and neck and lint throat gaped and flayed to the sky. Say it covering someone's hand with yours, straightening your tie. Say it to the earth's fat mouth. Say it the way you can turn on your heel to spark fire and make your limber hip twist like a lesser storm. Or the way there is a storm between your two good hips, which are good music if you listen. Say it in your polished shoes. To the organist, say it too. Praise the heart, its rivers, and each rope twisted in the body, and every bird housed in the body. Vulture, gull, raven, jackrabbit, caskwick, and a flame, a bird too. Say, praise to flame, a bird too. Praise to the nerve endings in your teeth and to your tongue, like a blind man's hand reading her teeth, and the tongue inside the eyes, and the nose in the tongue and heart. In the tongue, say praise to salt, tear, stain, and skin ripped apart, like a kite flipping in the wind. Praise the rip in the kite and the geese flying through it. Praise the wings you swore you had when you were 6 years old, and the wings that remain today. Praise every flower you never smelled, and every dog you never kissed, and the skinny farmer at the market with the bad teeth who gave you his last cantaloupe and peppers and snap peas, who you never kissed. Praise the handful of freckles dashed across your father's face that you never kissed until he would not wake again. Say it. Say it again. Say praise the sunlight trapped on your father's face and the body's slapdash racket slipping away if you want to or not. Clean the dirt from your teeth and the glass from your fist if you want to or not. Tie both your shoes and fix your suspenders and praise the heart inside the heart, cracking its shackles, its thunderclap shrug, its 2,000 dolphins waving goodbye. Praise every day the 2,000 dolphins waving goodbye, shaking off our hearts and waving goodbye. Yeah, so that was Say It by Ross Gay. Should I read another Mythic Organizers That Be, or are we throwing it back to Sasha? It appears that the move is that I read another. It's a good thing that I got all these books of wonderful poems.
Yes.
You know why?
Okay.
Because we be poets. Wait.
Okay, so I'm going to read a poem by Nikki Finney. This is called, the book is called Head Off and Split. And so I'm going to read a poem called Thunderbolt of Love. The width of the lightning bolt is only about as wide as a pencil, which is a quote from the Weather Channel. The first saffron sheet breaks, 2 cumulus tin cans spill a wide powder keg of gunpowder gray. Cold thunder sparks the inky, iridescent sky, rinds of 100 peels, of 100 orange peels, infuse, are slung, the mother goes flying, the daughter takes to the glass. Pots are topped, a stove shut down, the tiny kitchen stage abandoned. The mother slips from flamingo to fleeing barn owl. She spills one wide-mouthed mason jar of liquid fear. Her wild turning head is beak and breast pointed south, toward the further, darker backside of the house. She will only give herself to any windowless den, any camouflage of cover, lavender snow quilt, moth-eaten polka dot coverlet, camphor woolens lost in the dark rib of the closet, anything brother to lead, sister to opacity. The only daughter stands at the sizzling window, as brown moth, brazen and mesmerized, heedless, her nose woodpeckered into the whirling world of the storm, thirsty to call at the lightning, ambitious to burn, while the mother throws her last warning out into the pitchfork of sky. Lightning can come through any open door, girl, can walk straight through glass at any angle, can take down a little thing like you, just like that. Out of view, the mother freely dives. Prayer is the last light, spray of tongue talk easing her safely down. Underneath, waves of mercurized cotton, she will wait out the pageantry of flashing orange light. The girl is willing to be turned into the roar of rock, the float of ash just to feel its flashy fingers strike, to watch the fiery pull and watch the fiery sky at the tingling tips of her hands grazing the skin of the glass, her lips so close to self-suffocation. Soon she is choked back alive, the sky of fusillade of booms, air, florid, tangerine, jagged lines of corn-colored bombs. At the weatherproof double panes, her childhood lifts away to the dusty locust field, her fists ripe with electricity, open and close. Her eyes are sweetly singed. The flutter beat of her lashes returns her to the softening sky, to the sight of herself on the other side of the kitchen glass, wet, staring back. She begins shaking herself back down from sky to earth. Her stubborn lashes are two honey-drunk bumblebees still tumbled on their backs. She has been fire-fed, rude, a girl in levitation with a mad and thundering Jove. Going forward, she is willing to go blind, lose her obeying girl tongue, her momentary sight, for any hot lemony tremble of the long pencil's flash ever again. The glass shows respect, staying warm for the mother's return. She stagily fumbles back into the kitchen, sleepy cotton stuck to her cheeks and hair. Her messy bonnet needs to be retucked, but her eyes know a miracle when they see one. The girl is still there, still breathing, still camped out at the unbroken glass, with a toothpick-sized shadow of resistance balanced in the flush of her lips. Done. Nothing more to warn the girl against now. Now, the long, solemncholy wait for the twisting out all the way, the final lift and turn, the wax and rock of childbirth evenly sculpted, the early pollinated melancholy, this sandy, burnished, smoldering lead of lanky old maid to be. That poem was called Thunderbolt of Jove by Nikki Finney from her book Head Off and Split. And I think we're bouncing back to Torian, I think.
Nope, me again.
Just kidding. Derek.
So I'm going to read yet another poem, Torian Eulogy, though. We're going to hear from Torian next. In case you forgot, this is Poets for Ferguson, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. If you're here and watching this on that Tumblr page, you should go click that link below that says go to the GoFundMe to give money, and give money if you're in any position to. So I'm going to read this poem by this experimental jazz poet named K. Curtis Lyle, in part because it's probably the first poem that I remember that made me just be like, you know what? My life is significantly different having read that. So, yeah, I'm going to commence reading it. So this poem's called The Kansas City Tao of Physics for Monsoon Wisdom and Conquest. Stumbling is divine work. The selflessness I once saw in nature, I now see in you. The Dowd consecration I see in your chart may push me to my limit, may pierce me through my karmic dung deposits politically, may redeem the unconscious collective sediment that witness that is my due. Planetary stumbling is divine work, and believe me, mama, the stamp of the stumble steel, the seal of the stumble is also the judgment stamp of you, because when I'm stumbling, you are stumbling too. Remember now that stumbling is divine work. From the cycle of fulfillment filled full of defeat to the pen poem of the complete surrender of the self, I would sacrifice myself for you. My spirit freedom, my uncontrol, the three modes of my nature, the master of my head, my suit, my devotion motive, my mental heart flesh, the mystery of my ego boy, my tripathetic dark exalted emotional calcium, my lower liberation tongue, my daring gnosis stew, my action soul, my penetration instrument, my higher visionary song, my Choctaw gong of action time, the subjugated ladder of my spine. I would sacrifice myself selflessly for you, because I know you would do it for me too. But the Kansas City Tao right now moves so very slow that I'm afraid your faith might break and run from me, thinking that what it sees is one more tragic ego, one more lower gnosis seeking fraud attainment, one more self-perfected fool chewing on the shadow of illusion, one more double tantric mildewed heart parting into space, one more vial of elemental vocal tricks, one more bull trying to fulfill his Raha biosphere at your expense. Stumbling is divine work, because I am not of this life. I am not this stream of light. Neither am I mind or body or life or thought or whirling doer, disillusion void, miracle center, dynamo, birth, abstraction, dream. I'm only the bumbling stumbler, divine working of points and fields and magnets, the yielding of the law of invisibility, Godhead, swallow session, extracting exaltations, and like you, I am grains of cosmos sand beached by God and waterlogged. I'm only divine stumbling milkweed metaphors. I'm only the end of everything, searching for beginnings. I'm only the deeper descent of the wilderness, not the deepest, just deeper than the rest. I'm only the rapid millennium, seeking rapidness, seeking penetration, seeking mild turns and pure force, seeking not to kill a fly, seeking not to harm a soul, seeking the old dark conquest possibility of breaking all the things that came before. I know I can't go home again, but to just stop and say goodbye to that thing that made my gut leak, made my mind kiss discontent and chocolate chaos on the mouth. To say a deep goodbye to that makes my other heart long for death or dread or toxin bread or anything that will fuck me up for good. Stumbling is divine work, and I long ago consented to the charcoal song of dark divine, and you consented too, to be dark and bittersweet, to have your meatless ass trembling, to have your real life begin as the starkest drama of your life, to meet me somewhere near the Kansas City Tau, a physical free mind roamed through floating intuition, depth communion, cherry bombed equinox. We are being born. We're being born into desire fire. We're being ridden hard into fall, into the ultimate test of fear and its ferocious ovum testi, confidant, pain, absolved of absolution. We're being burned in dark ablutions. We're making love in India. We just think we're in the West. That's what the Tao will do if you follow it too far. Stumbling is divine work. Alright, so now we're going to throw back to Torian. Once again, that was the Kansas City Tau Physics by K. Curtis Lau. But, Torian.
Alright. So, guess I'm gonna go ahead and read y'all this one. This one is basically about gun violence. It's growing in America. It's been growing. It's getting a lot worse, especially with police brutality and just gun violence in general. So, yeah, we'll just go ahead and read it. You say guns don't kill people. My city is a loaded pistol with the safety off in the hands of a skilled assassin. Louisiana isn't a boot. It's an upside-down handgun in the holster of this country. We are bullets. We sound like gunpowder, laugh like cannon fire, walk like friendly fire, but this isn't friendly. And you say guns don't kill people. Your girlfriend, she has a target practice smile. My grandfather has the posture of an extended clip. Your okay is an AK, and I'm not bulletproof. Don't tell me bite the bullet. Louisiana spoon feed me shell cases every time I hear the word Baton Rouge, but you said guns don't kill people. I heard your conversations outside my bedroom window quite often. Ammo fire and car alarms. You sound angry. You sound like you just went through my stepfather. You sound like alcohol. Shot after shot after shot in someone I was once close to. You sound like you want another round. You changed your tone. It sounds like police sirens. Is that supposed to be resolution inside your tone? Then how come you're still talking, still speaking through the night, still screaming down the block, holding conversations with that same time throughout the city? Do you still think you sound like resolution? You said guns don't kill people. Well, your words are triggers, and I'm a trigger finger with arthritis. It hurts When I pull them close to me, it hurts and kills me to hear that. Tell me something different so I can stop feeling like a murder rate with high blood pressure. Keep rising and rising and rising like a perpetual sunrise. Tell me something different. Baton Rouge isn't red stick. It's a red stick up in your word bank. Call this still talk because your still talk on your hips still talk. You're still talking. Peace be still. Okay, Smith and Wesson, my hands are up, please. Don't shoot. You touch my friends. You touch my stepfather. You touch my grandfather. I'll find my inspiration somewhere else. I will use my gunpowder differently. I will sit inside my chamber waiting for this city to fire me at the next microphone. Bring firepower to my poetry. Aim my loaded mind at the audience and turn this room into statistics. I'll stand with the posture of a banana clip and sound appealing to gorillas. It won't kill you to listen. It won't kill you to accept me. To take me right in the heart. I sound like two battlefields on a date with war and myself looking for common ground. I feel it more now than ever. You said guns don't kill people. I'm a gun at your point of view. Hands up. Begging you to see different. Once again, you're hearing some really good poetry. So, thank you for tuning in.
Hey there. So I just want to remind anybody who is just joining us. We are participating in a 24-hour poetry live stream featuring poets of color from across the country. I don't know what hour we're in right now. I think maybe we're in hour 11, 12, 13. I'm not sure, but it's not hour 24, and that's what I do know to be true. Right now you're hearing some cover poems from different poets. You've heard some poems from Yusef Komunyakaa. You've heard some poems from Rita Dove, and now I'm going to read you a poem by Sonia Sanchez. It's the third poem in a set of poems called A Love Song for Spellman. In the long, dark basement of shuttered sweat, we sat on benches harder than blue stone. Some thought us an absurd gathering, 11 women of all ages abundant with mornings. Hands moving like wings toward knowledge, we came to the basement betrothed to dreams. And we came to life again. We came from being not human beings, but hands and feet opening and shutting in institutionalized work. We came being not women, but trophies, and unremembered bodies hearing our voices in the delirium of children. And you told us, O Lord, that we had to believe that you loved us. And even though our bodies became stone, we loved you. That poem was the third in a set of poems called A Love Song for Spellman by Sonia Sanchez, which is in her book Wounded in the House of a Friend. If you can see that, by Sonia Sanchez. And I think next you're going to hear from Derek Carr. Or Torian. Or nobody. I think we're cutting for the moment, and we'll have the next lineup, the fifth lineup in our 24 hours, should be up in a few minutes, so stay posted. If you're still watching and you plan to watch the next lineup, the fifth lineup of poets, you can check that out on, the new link will be updated on our poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. And you can continue watching there. Also, if you found us on Facebook, you can watch you can check the new link on our event page, which is just Poets for Ferguson. And you can follow me. My name is Sasha Banks, and you can follow me, friend me. You can find the event on my timeline. And yeah, stay tuned for more poets, more poems, bringing you into the early morning hours of our 24-hour live stream. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you at the next stream.